Hi, everyone. Good evening, greetings, and good morning. And I welcome all of you. It is indeed a beautiful evening, and we are here to discuss, to learn something which is very relevant to the generation today, to the context today. We have with us our guest speaker, Mr. Sampark A. Sachdeva. He is a coach. He teaches sales and marketing. He teaches LinkedIn growth strategies, and he is a TEDx speaker. And it is indeed an honor for all of us to hear him, and it is indeed an honor for us to have all of you today with us. I'll quickly talk about what does Punjabi Chamber of Commerce stand for. As you can see in the slide, Punjabi Chamber of Commerce is a non-profit organization. It was set up and established in the year 2017 by the Indian Punjabi community residing in US, and now it has become a truly global network forum. And as you can see in the slide, we are 17 chapters strong, and we are present in 5 countries across 4 continents. And we are located in India, US, Canada, Middle East, Australia, and United Kingdom. And there are many more chapters that are going to be added to us. Now, what do we do? Where do we wish to invest our energy and focus on? Our endeavor has been to facilitate a network forum with a focus on capital building and capacity building. When I say capital building, we are really looking at leveraging on each other's capabilities. How do we capitalize the members' strength, and how do we able to provide them with a network wherein they can help each other, and we are also able to give or facilitate a capital building network from across the networks, from across the ecosystem. And that's where the capacity building also happens. So we are looking at doing some very strategic tie-ups. We are also looking at creating and enhancing a market share for everyone, all the members that are present with us, so that the profitability can be considered, can be seen in a more qualitative manner as well as in a quantitative manner. Now, our objective has been to, to create, to give something to the next generation, to grow together, to build together, and to succeed together. And that's what I think the Punjabi community stands for across the globe. But there is something that we really kind of consider as a mantra, which is our stand to remain non-religious and non-political at any point of time. And we believe in diversity and inclusion. And believe me, our members, they practice that. When I say non-religion and non-politics stand, our members also practice that. Now, our membership, so it's there in the slide itself. Signing up for PCC is super easy. I'm not going to talk about that because I'm sure you all will be able to go to the website to see how easy it is for us to register ourselves. But we also wanted to talk to you about our charitable arm, which is Punjabi Chamber Foundation. And during the COVID crisis that happened, and India is still grappling with that, and we were able to raise $100,000, and we were part of the COVID relief activities that were undertaken in India aggressively. And we could also do our bit. We managed to send out 100 oxygen concentrators in government hospitals of Punjab. And believe me, these were the people who were sitting in other part of the globe, and they were able to contribute, and we could manage to go to each of these pins that are within the Punjab state, and each of the districts that we could reach out to. So that was something that we were able to do that. Apart from that, we are also raising funds to set up 2 oxygen plants, one in Manali and the other is in Jalandhar. These are all nationalist hospitals, charitable hospitals, and we are doing it in partnership with the Rotary International for the same. And we look forward to having your active participation in terms of promoting our fundraising events, in terms of contribution also. And since we are talking about creating a legacy for the future generation, it is really important that we are able to mobilize. We take along the global youth, the Punjabi global youth along with us, and hence we have a global youth arm which is called Global Youth Squad, and we are trying to uh, time and again or with the periodical interventions that we can do, we are trying to bring them to build the capacity of our youth fraternity by giving them some capacity building seminars and webinars and conferences and workshops. So now, as I have at the onset itself, I have talked about what do we stand for. We stand for all these C's that are mentioned in this slide. We stand for commerce, of course. And with the commerce, when I say that's where the capital building and capacity building also comes in. We stand for cooperation, the culture, and we also stand for community development. It is really important that we create various community of practices all around us, wherein we can do some sustainable work for the society across the globe. Now, why do you join us? Why will somebody join us? We wish to be your voice. We want to create the network. There are, of course, very close-knit network of members that we have, and there are a lot of discounts that are there. People are helping each other. People are able to leverage on each other's, what do you call that? The business areas, business benefits that are there, and the chamber definitely facilitates that. We look forward to having a growth which is inclusive and which is a comprehensive growth. And as a member, we also request and expect that our members are able to give back to the community, to the society. And that's what we stand for. With this, I welcome and invite our moderator of the day, my friend Harsimran Grewal. He's also a part of Punjabi Chamber of Commerce. He represents Toronto chapter, and he's also our chapter executive member. About Harry, we call him Harry. About Harry, he has 12 years of experience working on supply chain and manufacturing information systems. With an MBA in logistics and supply chain, he also specializes in industrial IoT and machine learning, the emerging technologies that he can talk about. And you can see it in the website, in the slide itself, his accomplishments. He's also a board member at the family-run nonprofit, and he also has served on the board of Eddie Florida Chamber of Commerce and student organizations. I welcome Harry, and I hand it over to you. Thank you so much, Harry.
Thank you, Rajashriji. Thank you for that great introduction. And first of all, I'd like to welcome everybody who's joined so far. We have a pretty healthy list of people who've joined the call today. Just to build upon what Rajashriji was talking about the Punjabi Chamber, being a person who's lived in different countries across the span of my life, a connection to the community is something that we've always craved for. I've lived in places where there was no Punjabis ever or no Indians ever, so it's always been I've always been gravitated towards organizations that do nonprofit work, meaningful work, but also trying to connect the community globally. As you all know, Punjabis are all across the world. I mean, you can go to any corner of the world and you'll find a Punjabi. So it's important that an organization like the Chamber here connects people across the globe, helps people expand their horizons, and gives them the channel to communicate across the board as well. So today's topic, we're going to talk about how to maximize your use of LinkedIn. And we have a great speaker on this topic today with us, Mr. Simpark Sachdeva. He's going to talk about how he has accomplished great things by just using the LinkedIn platform, and how he's accomplished himself to be a thought leader and a sales and marketing coach within the industry. Couple of housekeeping items. As we start having this discussion with Simpark, I would encourage, if you have any questions, to write those questions in the chat window. And second thing, if you are on the call, please make sure that you're on mute so that your voice is not coming across or interfering with the webinar. Third thing, the format of this presentation is more Q&A based. So we've sourced some questions from the community that they're curious about. And we're going to be pitching those questions to Simpark, and he's going to be giving us his insights on those questions. So without further ado, I'm just going to introduce Mr. Simpark. He's one of the leading content creators in India. He's got a very active LinkedIn presence. He's been awarded by LinkedIn a couple of times. He's been recognized by top organizations as the top 100 marketing, sales, and growth hackers in India. He actively helps companies and brands build presence through sales and marketing channels. He has a great history of working with big companies that have seen a lot of success in the past, like Oyo, Ola, and Asian Paints. He's a TEDx speaker, so that speaks volume about who he is and where he has come to be as a professional. And he's a growth advisor as well and a trainer. So he's trained about 17,000 people in his career and across different countries and continents as well. So without further ado, I'll invite Simpark to the conversation. Simpark, welcome.
Thank you, Harry. It's a pleasure being amongst all of you. Thank you so much.
No, wonderful. We're glad to have you here. I know you're going to have a lot of great information for our participants today. And personally, I'm looking forward to this conversation because I personally am a LinkedIn user as well. And I do, and actually, interesting fact, my last 3 jobs that I've found have been directly through LinkedIn.
Right.
So it's been a very beneficial platform for me, probably the most beneficial social media platform that I've ever been on. So we look forward to your questions or answers to the questions that we have for you today. Just to kick things off, could you tell us a little bit about yourself, your background, where did you grow up, where are you from?
So while I've stayed in a few places, my major growing up years were in Jamshedpur. So I am a Tata kid by through my growing up years, and post finishing my schooling, I moved to Bombay, did my graduation here, then moved to Nagpur, did my post graduation there. I stayed in Delhi for a year with my first job, and this was just around the financial crisis a decade ago, and that's where then I got my big break with Asian Paints. Asian Paints, I was there for a period of 5 years. I handled various roles. So I was handling their channel sales, then I handled their institutional sales. I handled North Bengal, the whole Gangtok and Darjeeling bit for a period. Then I was handling Calcutta, then I was handling East for them. 2015, I moved to Ola. That was the whole time the startup system in India was taking a boom. And 3 years I was with Ola. I was handling Calcutta for a bit. I was handling East for a bit. Then I was handling all their tier 3 cities. So everything from Gaya, Madurai, Amritsar, Chandigarh, etc. All the non-metros was what I was taking care for marketing. And my last role there, I was taking care of Bombay for them. So the whole demand side, customer acquisition, all the marketing activities, all the alliances, etc. And then 2018 was where I moved to Oyo, was leading a 200-member sales team there. That happened till COVID happened last year. And LinkedIn for me had always been a side passion for the last 5 years, which once the lockdown thing happened, I turned it around into my full-time thing. So between my LinkedIn and my sales and marketing, now I run this venture, Sampark Se Sampark, which you see in the logo here. So yes, now that's what I do full-time.
Oh, wonderful. That's a great story and certainly very inspiring as well. So now that since 2018, so that's when you started kind of interacting with LinkedIn more. So how did this whole influencer journey and the growth advisor journey start? And how did you think of LinkedIn being a platform that could really propel you into that whole different level of recognition and being a thought leader as well as a growth advisor within the industry?
So I'd been on LinkedIn for over 10 years. I remember when I passed out of MBA, I was there on LinkedIn, but LinkedIn was a very small thing in those times. And this started happening around the time I was looking for my first job change when I was moving into Ola. This was around 2015, 2016. And that is where I realized that, and by default, you assume it's all about jobs, etc. And I started writing to people and I didn't get any response. And somewhere down the line, I felt ki why will somebody on the other side help me if he does not even recognize me. And that's where I realized that it's a lot more about getting to know people. It's a lot more about creating a space for yourself. I'd never done it even with the intention of saying ki, okay, I'll make it a full-time thing, or I'll monetize it. LinkedIn is not known for the monetizing bit as well. I always started using it just as a means to put my thoughts out. Uh, I didn't first realize where that happened, but then I realized, okay, I did have a blog during my college time, which had over 200 posts. So I seemed it was a natural progression, because somewhere in those initial years of my working, the blog died down. So I started using LinkedIn as a means of writing, sharing my thoughts, etc. And over a period, of people did start saying, okay, Sampark, you write very well. Oh, I love your posts. There were a few friends also who came back and say, Are, why are you doing this? Why do you want to give gyan on social media? So yes, you had your promoters and detractors there. So you were always in that dilemma. Am I doing something right? Till one day in 2019, where I got that mail from LinkedIn saying that you have been shortlisted as one of the LinkedIn Spotlight winners. Now, what is the LinkedIn Spotlight? It's one of the lists that LinkedIn comes out with, showcasing the top creators with the maximum engaging and viewed content. Till that time, I had not even realized, okay, maybe this is happening. And once that did happen, once you got a validation from the platform itself, you realized maybe this is going good. And somewhere down the line, I had enjoyed training as a segment of what I was doing. I had enjoyed mentoring. And when I got that opportunity around the time when the lockdown in India started, I felt this is the shot that I can give. I don't come from a business background, so I don't think I would have ever made that plunge or ever had the guts to make that plunge. But then that's where I said, okay, this is the time to take a shot at it. If not, I know I had built enough on LinkedIn to be able to get a job and go back. So now I'm 16 months into it. I don't see it happening near anytime soon. If I can pull this off, then I think I might not need to go back into the corporate segment altogether.
Now that's a wonderful story. Anytime you can work for yourself, you should, right? That's what people say. So
Absolutely.
I think you're realizing that, and you're like, oh, let me just build upon this more. So that's a wonderful story. So LinkedIn, I mean, being a social media platform, I mean, there's a few of them out there. How would you like particularly distinguish between LinkedIn and Facebook? I know Facebook tried to do something with jobs and people posting jobs as well, but primarily, how would you say the two networks distinguish, and who should be where, and who's LinkedIn really for? Some profiles, some user profiles that if you could mention that'd be great.
See, you understand from this perspective of a lot of people talk about LinkedIn being for jobs. A lot of people talk about LinkedIn being for sales. I say it is neither. And most of my clientele, so I do one-on-one consultancy. I work with a lot of senior brands, etc., business owners. My most clientele are the people who are hitting 30 and above. Why? Because by the time you are there, you realize how important it is to network. When they say network is your net worth, it is cliche, but it's true. Because once you're a little senior, you don't get jobs applying on portals. That boss, ex-boss, where is he? That ex-team member, where is he? Whom do you know? How? So networking becomes important. And I think it's a very, very solid networking platform. Now, let's look at it from a job perspective itself. Okay. A potential recruiter or a potential client or a potential business partner may or may not check your Instagram. He may or may not check your Facebook, but he will surely check your LinkedIn. And that's where, when you're talking about generation of business, when you're talking about generation of jobs, it becomes the platform. And the point is, people come to LinkedIn when they are in trouble. I need a job, so let's go on LinkedIn and get active. That's not how jobs are made. So you have to come here, build that brand for yourself, build those relationships as well. Today, there are some 38, 40 people here. Today, the 40 people get added to my network. Today, I have the opportunity to interact with 40 awesome people from around the world. Does it convert to business or not? That's always secondary. But tomorrow I know, okay, I have a friend, Harry, who's based out of X place, and I can always reach out to him. That's the power of networking. And once you nurture that relationship, then maybe a year later, a year and a half later, you ever want help, the person will be more than happy to. Rather than me one fine day saying, Harry, I need a job. Will you be able to help? You will not. Obviously, you will help someone that you know. So that's where LinkedIn becomes important. Facebook is not so much of a professional platform. You have everybody there. Yes, it might be the biggest social media platform, but I don't think you will want to add your client there to show your childhood pics or the photographs of your recent vacation or your beer and your drink parties. That's not where you want to show. You want to segregate your professional and your personal life. LinkedIn is important for anybody and everybody. Irrespective of are you in a business, irrespective of are you in a corporate job, irrespective of you being a student, irrespective of you being a 60-year-old, because networking is always important. The fact that all of you are part of Punjabi Chamber of Commerce is the fact that you want to network and you want to collaborate. So all the C's that you spoke about, LinkedIn is the virtual format giving you access to 700 million profiles worldwide, 70 million profiles just in India. There's no better way to just break those geographical barriers for yourself.
Certainly, very, very great points. And I mean, I would concur that LinkedIn has allowed me personally to build a great network of people, just interact with thought leaders or people just within your industry that you may have actually never met in your real life. So certainly a great points there. What would you say is a good time to create a profile? Let's say I'm a kid coming out of school, right? Let's say I've just passed out at 12th. Is that a good time to create a profile, or should I wait till I graduate, or should I wait till I get my first job, or let's say if I'm a business person, and how do I leverage LinkedIn if I'm actually not looking for a job, but I'm actually running a business?
See, it's never too late to open a profile, and it's never too early to open a profile. So once you're in your graduation, you should be there, because when I passed out, or when I did my graduation 15, 16 years back, I never had that opportunity to interact with senior professionals, learn from them, understand what their journey was like. Today's generation, with the whole internet and social media, has that opportunity of learning from people and personally interacting with them. So the faster you come here, it's good. In our times, if I was a commerce student, so there were two things. Either you become a CA or you do an MBA. That was the end. If you're a science student, either you become a doctor or you become an engineer. Now you have the chance of speaking to mentors, reaching out to people, understanding, not making the mistakes that we did over 15 years back. So the faster you come in, the better. And it's about networking right there, because today, as a student who's been through graduation, interacting with senior professionals, 4 years later, when he's out and he still is looking for a job, etc., his network is already built. The problem is students don't realize it at that age. By the time people realize, you are already in your late 20s, that the power of networking. Now, you asked another question, is it only for job people or is it for business professionals? It is for everybody. Now, even if you're a business professional, it does not matter if you are a B2C segment business or a B2B. B2B, absolutely important when you are interacting with suppliers, exporters, franchisees, branches, clientele, etc. Even in a B2C segment, now I've had clients who were into hair accessories. They would make hair bands for ladies. They were on LinkedIn. Why? Because they had an opportunity of connecting with designers internationally, suppliers internationally, exporters internationally. I recently did a session with one of the top fashion designing institutes of the country, because they said that even fashion designers need to understand how to network on a platform like LinkedIn. How do you break that geographical barrier? Because while a fashion designer's consumer might be a B2C consumer, but suppliers, designers, collaborators, how do you do strategic alliances? All that is B2B. And that's where a platform like LinkedIn becomes important. And so similarly for a job seeker, so anybody from 18 to whatever age group, I just finished a session today in the afternoon. I had somebody who was 73 years old in my session trying to learn LinkedIn. So that's the power of the platform.
Yeah. That's great. That's great. What advice would you have for people who are just starting out on LinkedIn, or they've had a profile on LinkedIn for 5-6 years, but they're just not leveraging the network? What are some of the foundational components of setting up a profile that anybody should consider? Like, let's say something as simple as make sure you have a professional looking photo, right? So,
right.
So what are some of the pointers that you would say are foundational to a LinkedIn profile?
Okay. There are two elements here. One, building the profile. Secondly, getting traffic to the profile. Because I tell people it's like your personal website. If you just make a profile well and don't do anything after it, you're sitting with a beautiful website with no traffic on it. So one, you need to get that profile made, which I will answer your question. Second is you need to be active on the platform on a regular basis to be able to attract traffic onto the profile. Now, coming to the profile, realize that every element is important. Instagram has only two elements. One is a photo and one is a bio. LinkedIn, there are 15 elements and every element has a purpose to solve. So make sure very, very clearly that every element is up to date regularly. So be it your profile photograph has to be professional, because the person wanting to reach out to you wants to see who he or she is talking to. If I talk to the people in most of my sessions, I request everybody to keep the videos on because I want to see who I'm talking to. And I will still request everybody here as well to keep the videos on, because then I see who my target is or whom am I talking to, etc. So photograph, very important. Headline is the most important, because on the headline, does somebody decide, does he want to come on your profile or not? Because there are three elements which are visible before coming to the profile. One is your name. You can't do anything about it. Second is your photograph. There's a limit to which you can Photoshop yourself. The third, which becomes your make or break, is your headline. Now, your headline needs to be specific. So if I write marketing sales professional, that's very vague. Marketing and sales is very, very big, but be specific. So when I say marketing and sales coach, personal branding coach, LinkedIn growth advisor, when you read my headline, you should be able to understand what exactly do I do. So always ensure that your headline is important. Your about section is very important. It has to give context to your story. Featured section, again, is a good place to showcase your achievements. Obviously, the others are quite self-explanatory in terms of experience, education, volunteering. Two very ignored parts are your skills and your recommendations. So ensure that every element, because if you're looking at reaching out to recruiters, or if you're looking at reaching out to prospective business, it's very, very clear that you don't know what your consumer will come looking at. So all your weapons should be in place. He gets impressed by the very fact. I'll give you a very clear example. I just mentioned I was from Jamshedpur. Okay, Rajeshri pinged on the chat that she is from there as well. That was an icebreaker. That's a point of connection that you don't know. So anything, even something very small, can be, oh, I'm from the same city. Oh, I'm from the same batch. Oh, I'm from the same school. You never know. So that's the power of networking. Today, if we start having a conversation, we might find something else common as well. That's the point of networking, where those bonds initially start getting built up.
No, great points, all of them. And I think I would recommend everybody to go look at Sampark's profile on LinkedIn if you're having any sort of conundrum about how to set up something. Maybe there's information looking at different profiles that you can gather. Look at some of the best practices out there and try to set up your profile that way. You're certainly not unique. You're certainly not somebody who can't go to somebody's profile and you can copy some of the elements, but definitely make them unique. Your content is your content. Don't just paste somebody else's content. LinkedIn, being a professional, more of a professional network than just a social media network. It's such a distinction from, let's say, the Instagram or the Facebooks of the world. Are there some some things that you would say that you should not do on the LinkedIn platform, or they're better left off for other social media outlets than LinkedIn?
See, now when you're talking about professional networking, and I'll tell you the exact same thing that I saw in your presentation some time back. It said a policy of no religion, no politics. Now that's something that I personally leave out because one, it's very easy to say, oh, I don't agree to you. It's the fact is, I don't go into something, when I'm talking about a personal brand, there's a certain image or a perception that somebody wants to create with a brand. A lot of our knowledge on topics such as these are half-baked. So if you want to discuss it, I think, see, social media, you never know how does somebody else on the other end take it. So if you want to discuss it, sit with your friends at home, discuss it as much as you want. Social media, you might not say it with a particular intention, but somebody might take it with another intention. So let's not get into sparking debates, controversies, being negative, being sarcastic. That's something that I don't recommend, because end of the day, you remember every activity of yours is visible, every comment of yours is visible. Yes, you can never make everybody happy. That's true. But then you have to be conscious about what you put out, and what people see out there. So you have to draw the line of one, what topics to leave out. Second, avoid being negative, sarcastic, etc. Negativity sells. But you don't want a potential recruiter or a potential client to see this guy is very negative or this guy is very sarcastic. He badsmouth people. That does not leave a good taste in the mouth. So be very conscious of what you put out and what you don't.
No, certainly all great points. I mean, just if I were to summarize that, behave like you behave in an office, right? If you go to the office, you know exactly how to behave, what things to talk about. And think about the scale, right? I mean, you're not just exposing yourself to your office coworkers by typing or by saying something. You're also exposing yourself to people that may become your future contacts as well. So just be cognizant, just be nice to people, just be nice to yourself. All right, great stuff. So let's take my example. If I've been in manufacturing for the longest time. Now I want to start sharing my knowledge on LinkedIn. And I have some great topics that I want to write about, but let's say on a personal level, or sometimes people would feel a little intimidated to post something at the risk of being judged by their peers about being knowledgeable or not being enough knowledgeable about talking about. So how would you address some of those concerns that people may have?
See, and I'll make a statement in Hindi, assuming everybody here understands Hindi. Okay, दुनिया का सबसे बड़ा रोग है क्या कहेंगे लोग. So don't think too much. Yes, we are conscious. Everybody has the imposter syndrome. My English is not good. What will people think? What will I make a fool of myself? 98% of people don't post on LinkedIn with these very thoughts. You go into an analysis paralysis, stop analyzing things. Let your audience decide. Go out there, start writing. After some time, you'll realize what is the feedback, what you should improve, etc. But only when you are out there will you get results. Sitting on the fence never got you results. So you need to be on the pitch, getting those runs made. You can't stand outside the boundary line and assume that runs will get scored on their own.
No, certainly great points there. Great points. So one of the things that intrigued me initially when this whole concept about hashtags came out, could you tell the audience here on how hashtags are used on essentially any social media platform? How can they start leveraging using hashtags? Let's say if there's specific topics that they're more interested in. How do hashtags factor into that?
See, hashtags are like tags. So you put a tag to a post. So anybody who is specifically interested in that genre should be able to find your post. So if I put a hashtag of sales or a marketing, anybody on the other part of the world, anywhere, who's interested in reading more about sales or marketing should be able to locate my post. Now, every social media, it works a little differently. Now, Instagram says you need to put 25 to 30 hashtags. A LinkedIn says put 3 to 5 hashtags, not more than that. So you need to tag your post accordingly with whatever genre or the kind of people who might be interested in reading your post. So you just put so if it's sales, put a hashtag sales. If it's about motivation, you put a hashtag motivation. You want to talk about growth, you want to talk about commerce, or whatever genre it is, you can start putting those hashtags accordingly.
Wonderful, wonderful. Yes, yeah. Narrow down your audience using hashtags. That's
right.
Yep, that's a great idea. So we talked about posting publicly on LinkedIn. What would you say is, how personal is too personal? Like, people can direct message each other, right? I mean, I've seen people posting about guys or women hitting on other men or women on LinkedIn. Is that too personal for LinkedIn, or can LinkedIn be used as a matchmaking service, if you will, besides just the job search part?
See, now that's a decision that you need to make on what are you here for. The first thing you need to decide is what's your objective of being here. Realize that you I would say summarized it very well. Behave the exact way that you are in office. Now, yes, there are couples which eventually end up when you're working with someone in office. That's, if it happens, it happens. But you don't expect it to be Tinder going about trying to hit upon everyone, because it'll backfire. That's not how it goes. You have to act professional. You have to act maturely. You have to act like a decent human being. You can't just throw everything around there, because you are putting your career at risk. And that's with any social media platform. You can't just go about and one major mistake, even though it might be a small major, but it's still major, can put you in a very bad spot. So don't do anything which you will not do in office. And I think that's your summarization exactly works here as well. How much is personal? That's a call that you need to take. When you talk about what are you writing about, how much you're sharing, you have to, again, it's something that you mentioned. It's the game of scale. You are not talking to 100 people. You're not talking to 200 people. So you have to be very careful of how much are you sharing out there, because yes, that there is risk of being misused is always there, but be professional, be logical, use your common sense. That's and I think most people have their answer if you just think over it a little bit there.
Yeah, certainly. Yeah, if you have doubts about posting something, don't post it.
Right.
Simple as that. All right. So let's say I'm a person, I've been on LinkedIn for a while. I've been trying to use it for whatever I've been using it for. But let's say if I want to kind of get on a journey towards becoming an influencer in my own industry, how do I go about that? What are some of the best practices that I should follow as a professional to be recognized as somebody who's an influencer, or somebody who's recognized within such a within a certain space within the industry, or certain niche within the industry?
I tell people, you have to be consistent and you have to be patient. There is no shortcut to winning on this platform or any social media platform in itself. The point is, you need to be very, very consistent. And when you talk about being a thought leader or an influencer, first you need to decide what do you want to be known for. So if Harry says, I want to be known for sales, it's not about going and saying, I'm an expert in sales, I'm an expert in sales. No. But if you are creating content around sales, you are regularly talking about tips and trends and new things and your experiences around sales, after some time, after the fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh post, people start resonating you with sales. Okay, Harry, he writes well about sales. Harry, he knows his stuff. He's an expert in sales. You start building your brand recall around that topic. And that's where, if you stick on for quite some time, you'll start getting recognized as someone who knows. Today, I don't go about on LinkedIn saying, buy my service, buy my service. Mm-hmm. But I talk about my expertise. I talk about what's important in sales and how important it is to build a pipeline, how important it is to engage your consumer. And then I talk about, okay, LinkedIn, what is important? What people now realize is, okay, this guy knows his stuff. Mm-hmm. Now I am in need of someone who can help me with LinkedIn. Let me reach out to him. That's how you organically start generating those leads for yourself.
Exactly. Very, very great points. Very great points. I'm personally learning a whole lot from just having a conversation with you. So thank you for everything that you're doing today.
Pleasure.
So just on some of the closing questions, how has LinkedIn impacted your life, and what do you like the best about what you currently do?
See, today, my 100% of lead generation comes from LinkedIn. I would say 90%, a little 10% of Instagram and Clubhouse, but my major 90% comes from LinkedIn. I get at least 2 or 3 or sometimes 4 leads a day out of the platform organically. The fact that and a lot of people have this problem when moving from a corporate into something of their own, immediately the whole scale drops. But because I'd been active for so long, people had recognized Sampark for so long, this transition for me was quite smooth. So that's the power that I have of this platform. Today, I work with some of the very senior leaders across the world on how to use LinkedIn. One, I teach them how to use LinkedIn. Second, I also manage a lot of CXO profiles. So actually, when you see the content, it's my team who's actually managing the whole account there. So that's one bit of what I do. Then the whole sales and marketing consultancy. So anybody who's a business owner, a startup, or a company, he's looking for help in sales and marketing. That's what I generate my leads from the platform, etc. So that's how LinkedIn has changed things for me. And that's something that I have enjoyed. Okay, so it's not that I didn't enjoy my corporate job, because again, I always had a passion for sales and marketing, and that's the very same thing that I'm now doing on my own. So yeah, it's been a wonderful close to a year and a half now, and I'm enjoying it each day. Yes, when you're setting something up of your own, it has its share of doubts and days where you feel, okay, shit, I should go back, but then it's all worth it.
No, certainly that's that's beautiful. When you're really passionate about, we can actually tell you're passionate about what you do just by the way you talk. So great stuff. Just to close it off, I mean, what's your life's motto? Like, what do you want to do? Like, I know you're a sales and marketing professional, but what drives you as a person?
See, I'll just say 2 things that I have always believed in, and that's something that I've realized over my working period is staying positive and staying confident matters. Shit will happen, and it happens. You may not even be able to control it.
Right.
Nobody planned COVID, but hundreds of thousands of people lost their job here. Hundreds of business went down. But then, if you ask me, I built my whole thing out of post the lockdown happening in India. So you need to find your, I would say, that positive line of the silver lining, as you say, and you need to be confident about yourself. I think you need to be confident that whatever you have learned and done and experienced, you are good enough to pull yourself through. So some way or the other, it will eventually work out. If it does not, that it's not the end. So those are very cliche lines, but those are something that I truly believe in, and hoping to scale this up over the next few years. And let's see, because now I'm doing a lot of sessions for corporates. I'm doing a lot of sessions on career development. I'm doing a lot of sessions. I'm training a lot of their marketing sales teams, setting those teams up for them as well. So yes, it's been a wonderful journey, and let's see how this goes about in the future as well.
No, wonderful. We wish you all the best in whatever you're doing. So just to kind of summarize the services that you provide, are mostly those corporate services, or do you work one-on-one with people as well on helping them, or your team does? Let's say if somebody's kind of skeptical about how to set up a profile, or they have questions about, let's say they're reaching out to people, but they're not getting a response back from them. Is that something that you help people with, or your team helps people with? Or
yes, I do. So from the LinkedIn front, I'll answer from the LinkedIn front first. I do group sessions once in a while as well, but that's majorly for young professionals. My major part is either one-on-one services that I give to senior leaders. So that I do 2 sessions with them, 2 sessions of 1 hour each, where I take them through every profile element, every content element, every networking bit in detail over 2 hours. After that, a lot of people also come back, Sampark, I've learned it, I can do it myself, well and good. If a person says, okay, I've learned it, but I don't think I have the time to do it, can you do it for me? I do that as well. So somebody wants to learn, I can help. If somebody wants to outsource it, I do that as well. And yes, besides that, the same things on LinkedIn as well, on sales and marketing bit as well, where people want to understand, they want to. So I work with a lot of startups where they're fairly young. They don't have too much experience on a marketing sales front. So then I work with their teams, do their reviews, do hiring for them as well. Yeah, in addition to the trainings that I do for corporates. So anybody who's interested can reach out. I would be very, very happy to help.
Wonderful. So there's a lot of depth to what you do as well as breadth to what you do. So anybody who can certainly leverage some Perks services, definitely reach out to him directly on LinkedIn. I'm sure we'll have some Perks LinkedIn profile link posted on the chat window soon. Just another quick question from the audience here. About LinkedIn profile, how much information, let's say somebody's trying to set up a profile, they're trying to put up their career progression, they're trying to post what they've done in the past. What kind of information, how in depth should they go? Should they just mimic what they've done on their CV or resume and just put entire paragraphs worth of job profiles, or just kind of summarize them very succinctly?
So your about section should talk about your story. It should give the context to a why. Your experience, all your roles should be there. If you moved in the same organization, put that up. It shows career progression. It shows your growth, etc. And put a couple of lines about what exactly do you do. So if a potential recruiter comes looking, he should at least get an idea of what you do. Your profile should be talking well enough about yourself that he picks that email ID up and reaches out to you. Today, the fact that if somebody does take my email ID, which I mentioned in the chat, and writes to me, is because with this session, he might have got an idea of how good or bad I am. Same way with your profile, it should talk on behalf of you. It should talk enough that the person is forced to write to you and discuss whatever opportunity that he or she might have.
Wonderful, wonderful. All right, next question that we have from the audience here is related to students. So let's say I'm a student in school or college. How can I start leveraging LinkedIn? Like, what are some of the pointers that you would have for students that are just in their careers, they're educating themselves right now? How can they start like building up their profiles? Is there a certain kind of content that they can share? Is there a certain kind of networking that's more relevant to the student community that's more applicable to that kind of audience?
So I would say whatever you want to build your career in, start creating content around that. So if you want to build a career in finance, start writing about finance. Now, finance can be very, very varied. It can be stocks, it can be accounts, whatever you want to build your genre in, start writing about that. And as students, we come across a lot of case studies. We get to know about a lot of trends. We get to know about a lot of new things that are happening in the industry. In your genre, start writing about it. If you're talking about marketing, then what are the latest campaigns that you loved, etc., so that people start resonating you with that genre. So that a couple of years later, when you are looking for jobs and you reach out to people, people already know that you exist. You can't just go out of the blue. So whatever you want to make your career in, whatever you want to build your name around, is what you should start writing around.
Wonderful, wonderful. And that answers a couple of other questions that we had around what or how you should build up your LinkedIn profiles and what content, or how to summarize your experience. That's about the questions that we have from the audience here. I know we're about 10 minutes from the top of the hour. So it was just great. I mean, from a personal level, I know the audience here learned quite a great deal about LinkedIn and just how to use the platform in general. Such great having you here. It's just been a whole breadth of information that was certainly trapped in your mind. I mean, you're certainly the expert here, and it's just so much learning that you've imparted upon us today. And we thank you for your time. And we hope to, I personally hope to be connected to you, and I'll probably reach out to you for a couple of other things that are on my mind. And I hope the audience here does too. But thank you very much. We really appreciate your time.
Absolute pleasure, Hari. Thank you so much. And yes, I would love to connect with everybody here. That's the power of networking. So, and networking need not be transactional. It can always be just two people sharing thoughts, and that's how you can go about it. I think it's a lovely place to be in, and it's a pleasure being here. Thank you so much.
Yep. Likewise. Thank you very much. And just to kind of talk about next steps, we have the option of going into breakout rooms to talk about certain topics. And the admin here will just post what those topics are going to be. If you're interested, please don't join those. But if you're not going to join, I would just like to thank you from the behalf of Punjabi Chamber of Commerce for being here. It was certainly great having you, and I hope you learned a great deal from all Sampark had to share around LinkedIn and how to create a powerful profile and how to become or along the journey of being a professional, creating more avenues for yourself like Sampark has. I would encourage people here to join us. I mean, the membership to Punjabi Chamber is completely free. Our goal is to be able to onboard professionals and business people in the community and help them build a network of themselves. Like LinkedIn is one of the networks. We're trying to create a more micro network of people within the community. So consider joining us. PunjabiChamber.com is our domain. Go there, sign up, and you'll start getting notifications on things that we're doing. So definitely consider it. And once you join, we'll pair you with your nearest chapter in your country, and there goes your journey, and you instantly get connected with a network of great people. So thank you again, guys. And the 3 breakout rooms that we have are for entrepreneurs, networking, and content writing. So we certainly look forward to having you or chatting in these breakout rooms. And one of the admins here, could you please tell us how we join these breakout rooms?
So on your screen, you'll find an option of breakout rooms.
Okay, so I see it. Okay, so down on the menu, you see an option called More, or and then click that and say Join a Breakout Room, and you'll see the 3 breakout rooms there. So click on Join, and you'll be in one of those breakout rooms. All right, so we're going to move to the breakout rooms now. So thank you, everyone, for being here. We look forward to chatting more. Thank you.